Hi, are you looking for something to buy the artists in your life some gifts but are not art supplies like paint, pencils, markers, etc.? Well, this is the video for you. I'm going to give you some great ideas to get an artist, more of little add-ons to help the artist in their art journey. Items I'm about to share with you are little sidekicks to the artist, little things that sometimes they didn't realize that they needed in their arsenal that will help assist them into whatever they're doing in their art journey. Timestamps and links will be listed down below. Hi, my name is Vanessa and I make art videos about a little bit of this and that, mainly things that pertain to sketchbooks. If that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing. Everything I'm going to show you is what I use as an artist, and they're all from my art studio. Alright, so let's start with add-ons, furniture, little of this and that is not necessarily art supplies, but help support the artist in their art journey. So first thing that I have is going to be a drafting easel. So I have two easels here. I have a wooden one, and then I have a metal one. So let me go over the wooden one first. This one is a smaller one. You can get them larger in size just depending on the space that the artist has, but basically you can adjust at different levels so that it can prop up at different heights. Then your artist can work from here, draw, paint, do whatever they want, and this is better ergonomically on their back, neck. It's better for their posture, and actually they get a better result in their artwork if they draw and paint from something that is propped up. They have a better idea of perspective and proportions and making things look more accurate when you draw and paint this way. This is great for drawing, painting, but if you have an artist that is working, let's say on a canvas or a panel board, this table easel is perfect for that. So you can set this on a table, and it's lightweight. So this would be great for an artist that wants to explore an easel, but you don't want to invest in a very big easel that is a standing easel. So small works you can do. This is one of my paintings that I need to finish. It's almost done. This is great for a table and you're doing more like sketchbook work or loose papers. You can paint with this too. You can even set a canvas on here as well. So this one's a little bit more versatile. This one's more specific to canvases and panel board. This is a wooden panel board. Those are my little notes for my painting on the back. But yeah, these make great gifts for artists that are more affordable than a standing easel. And again, for the artist that is not quite sure if they want to be committed to buying a more expensive standing easel. And if they love it, then that's great. Maybe later on down the line, if there's a good sale and the artist really wants it, then you can get and graduate to a standing easel. One more thing about these two easels is that they are lightweight and more on the affordable side, but lightweight is very nice, and this is very durable. This one's more on the flimsy side, but it is very inexpensive. I bought this years ago for $10, but I'll link something that's similar to this. I'm pretty sure it's probably gone up in price, but they're affordable too. All right, so now we have some other things that you can get an artist, painter that, you know, they've got all the paints that they want, and you know, they need a nice little water container for their painting journey. All right, so I have a few here. This one is my go-to. I love these for watercolor. They're portable because they're collapsible. They're made out of this really good plastic. The brand is Faber Castel. I love these so much. I've got so much good use out of all of these, and it's very versatile. So what I really like about these, one, that it's collapsible. Two, is that it has these little grooves where you set the paintbrush. So you can put a few brushes on there, because as a painter, I use more than one paintbrush. And I really like that I can kind of have them grab them and go. And when you're painting, when the paintbrush is wet, you do not want to store the paintbrushes this way because that'll loosen the grip and mess up the adhesive from the ferrule to the handle. And so when they're dry, you can hang them or you can store them upright, but when they're wet, you want them to lie them on their side. So this is really nice. The next one I have is this one right here. This is the paint puck. It's a brush cleaner inside. It's got a little hook. When you're done using it, you can hang it. You can collapse it too. It goes flat like that. And then it actually has a suction on the table so it stays put, so it doesn't move on you when you're painting. And it's got a brush cleaner inside. You can actually buy the brush cleaner separately. So if, let's say your artist already has something like these cups for paint or for water, and you want to give them a little something special, you can buy. I don't have any, but I'll link some down below, where you just like drop them at the bottom of the cup, and then they've got this cleaner right here. You really don't need the cleaner necessarily for watercolor, but you can. But they're mainly for paints like acrylic, gouache, and acrylic. The nice thing I like about this is that it has a base right here. So if you have multiple paintbrushes, you can store them right here. There's different sizes, and it's got a grip, so it hangs like so without touching the bottom and without ruining the bristles. So you can let it dry, and you can put a few of these paintbrushes in here at a time as you are grabbing and going and painting. This is super convenient. This is great. The next one I have, I'm sorry, this is very dirty. I've been using this a lot, but this is a bucket, and it has 3 compartments. Excuse the mess, but you can tell that it's very well loved and used. But it's got 1, 2, and then 3. You can, this one, it's got all the same size, so you're limited on what paintbrushes that can just hang from there. I think it's meant more so for like going like that, but again, if your paintbrush is wet, I do not recommend storing your paintbrush when it's wet like that. Bristles should face down, but they should not hang in the bucket like that, because that'll ruin the bristles. But I like that it has its own little cleaner inside. You can keep your paintbrush clean when you're washing. You can see a lot of paint build up there. So you wash twice, get the paint out, and it's got some residue because the water is contaminated with paint. So then you wash it a second time and it cleans. You've got to clean the water off of the bristles so it's nice and clean. And then it's got this little slide here where you can just kind of like release the water too. So very handy, comes with the handle, very cute, nice little paint bucket. Take your pick on what you think your artist would like. All right, so the next thing is one of those supplies that sometimes as artists we just don't want to spend the money on because we think, hey, I can buy another tube of paint for this. But it's an investment that's very beneficial, and it's going to be a brush cleaner. This is the Masters brush cleaner, and it's a preserver too. So it cleans oil paint, watercolor, acrylic, and then stains. This stuff works great. I have one in my home. I have some in my classroom as an art teacher. These keep the paintbrushes lasting longer. So in this one, when I bought it a few years ago, was just under $10, but worth every penny. It helps to, like I said, preserve your paintbrushes and keeps them in condition. You can oversaturate, get water, and let's say your paintbrush is kind of like frayed a bit. You can kind of like build up this pomade and then work it into a tip so that it keeps it conditioned and reforms itself. So this I highly recommend for a painter. All right, so the next recommendation that I have is going to be on my art table, and it's this clear container right here. It is marketed for makeup, but I put a lot of my supplies that I want to store close and I want to see what's inside there. So this is perfect. I had 2 of them, so this is one. This is the other one. I have a lot of my highlighters, my mild liners, and some of my Stabilo pens, my Eco lines too. These are really good markers. I really like these a lot. If you're into markers, like, here she is again. Hi, Dinah. Hi, baby. Say hi. Hello. If you like the Tombow markers, you'll like these, but these are juicier. This one comes with 2 tips. This one comes with 1 tip, but this video is not about the markers. It's about, and not even Dinah, but she wanted to say hello. It's about these containers. So this is a great add-on. You know, you could put a little bit of art supplies in there from their wish list if they have one. But yeah, this one is really good supply to give an artist. This wooden drawer set, they come with different amounts of drawers. This one I have 6. The more drawers you have, the more expensive it's going to be. But this would make a nice gift. I want something a little kind of fancy, and they can store the art supplies. I have my fountain pens. I have my Prismacolor Coal Erase. That was in my last video. That was a recommendation for an artist. You can just buy this in itself and gift it. It's a perfect gift for an artist. Nice furniture, organization. This is great for an artist that doesn't want to see the mess. They can pull out the drawers too. And they can place it on their table or wherever they're working and take that with them. It's portable. I also have my Prismacolors, my larger set of Prismacolors. All right, so my last recommendation would be this art cart. These are not too expensive, but they're not super cheap, but they make a great gift for storage. I love mine. I've had mine for years. I bought these at Michael's Arts and Crafts, but you can get them on Amazon. I'll link one, or I'll link them down below that looks similar to this, that has good ratings. But I keep my oil paints in here, everything that I need stored in these little containers too. I have a video on containers about these specifically. I'll link that down below if you want to check that out. That might make some good gifts too that you can get the artist. But yeah, these are great. They do roll, but they are not the most, they're a little flimsy, but I don't roll mine out. I leave them stationary, but you have that option. If they're toting things or carrying things that are lighter in weight, you can roll them. But since I have a lot of heavyweight, oils are heavy, and I have a lot of them, I don't want to roll it because it's, like I said, it's just not the most like sturdy cart, but it does the job. It looks aesthetic and it keeps the clutter away. And I can see what I have and I can grab it and go. It's so convenient. I just work from the station right here. I grab what I need and then I just do my artwork and then put it back. All right, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about books. I did make a whole video on books, but let me just give you a few recommendations for specific artists. So let's start off with these 2. First one is going to be Imaginative Realism by James Gurney, and he is also the author of Color and Light, and both of these are great. Let's talk a little bit about both of them. So let's start with this one right here. This one I'd say is probably more universal and great for an artist that is into realism and wants to know like more technique and technical traditional art. If they're studying if they're an art major or they're a budding artist in high school or even like in middle school and they're very intrigued and they want to learn more about realism and learning the foundational skills to expand and learn more about art, this is your book right here. I love it so much. Even as a seasoned artist, I refer back to it. I think it's great. As an art educator, I find it as a helpful tool for me in my classroom, refreshing my memory on a few things from college as an art major. Very good. Now this one is going to be more for like the artist that has some skills and they want to learn how to paint what doesn't exist. So it gives you a map, a guide on how to accomplish that. So that's that artist that's very creative, likes to do more like surrealistic scenes. You know, they like that sort of fantasy, sci-fi, fiction, imaginative worlds. That's going to be for the artists. And it has like some exercises that you can do, it breaks things down. Highly recommend this one. I've recommended this book to a few of my students that fit that category that I just explained, and they love it. So great book, lots loaded with very good information from a very awesome artist. He has his own YouTube channel. I follow him, and I'll link his channel down below because he has lots of great information and he's a really cool person. All right, so now these books right here are for the artists that you know they like specific types of things that trend in their work. So if they're into doing birds, butterflies, seashells, insects, you know, whatever their theme is that they like, I really recommend the Smithsonian Books. They come with 1, great information, and 2, beautiful illustrations. So for me, you know, something like this, I'll thumb through it and maybe not necessarily it has the picture that I want, but it teaches me the different types of birds that there are. And, you know, I'll flip through it and say like, oh, you know, I didn't know about this little egret. Maybe I can go on Google, type up egret, and then that leads me to other searches. So this is really good book for that. Another one would be like the Western Reef Heron. Very beautiful. I have information on it, and then I can look up better reference pictures on the internet as well. Same thing with my moths and butterflies. I am very known for doing artworks with these type of images. So this one I've flagged and many pages here, so it's very handy. Flowers, this is one of my go-to ones for when I do my flower works. This one is a color guide, so they're all labeled by color. So let's start off white, and then you just go down the spectrum. Very beautiful, very nice. And again, you know, maybe you didn't like the picture. It has great pictures, by the way, but let's say you want a different angle and you like this type of flower, you can take that, go into Google, and then search up more information on that particular flower. So these are good like references and just information. This one is for the artist that is kind of in a rut, or maybe they're not in a rut and they just sometimes need a little something to boost themselves. I've read this once and I want to read it again starting the new year, but it's The Artist's Way. It's a spiritual path to higher creativity. It gives you some guidance, some ways of looking at, you know, your thought processes and encouraging you to go out and pursue your artistic goals and dreams. And this one I want to gift to a couple of my artist friends. So I highly recommend this book right here. One more thing about books, you don't have to buy these brand new. You can go to a thrift store and see if you can find any of these type of books or any books. As an artist, we love books. Little resources, anything that, like I said, if you know they're into doing birds or a certain type of animal, get them those books. They're great. Even the older books are very beautifully illustrated. They have a nice aesthetic to it, and it might turn them on to a different style that they may explore and experiment with. So thrift store is another great place for books. All right, guys, so that is pretty much it. This ends the video here. Next week, I have a little more time, so I'm gonna go ahead and use those art supplies, and it's going to be with the Holbein acrylic gouache. I've got it started in this sketchbook right here, and yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.